Culture Vultures, public figures who borrow cultural signifiers outside of their own identity to enhance the presentation of their brand and image, only to later drop the act in order to better appeal to a wider mainstream audience. This video will mainly focus on celebrities who borrowed freely from black culture until they got too big to pretend to be black anymore, because I like to speak from my own experience, and because there's also so many examples that I could have done a sequel to this thing, and maybe I will if this does well.
They wouldn't talk like rap people if you didn't let them watch the MTV.
Paul, that's unfair!
I'm NickolasNameolas. I have a degree in art, an award in journalism. I occasionally do research for FD Signifier's channel. This video is brought to you by the NickolasNameolas Patreon. I do not have sponsors or the kinds of views that lead to big payouts yet. I'm working towards all of those things, and I'm looking for a good job in a small city with a rapidly declining population. Or a remote job, or a job that would pay me to move. I cannot fully express how necessary my patrons are to my current survival. So, consider contributing. Let's start the video. You want clickbait formats? We got clickbait formats. Trying something new here. This is the top 10 Culture Vultures. Number 10, Awkwafina. Awkwafina came under fire initially for using the black scent, and this was certainly something she'd slip into for added comedic effect.
Follow the queen, live your dream, but don't sleep. Don't sleep, because she might disappear. Saw that? You're not a chicken. You gonna roll up to that wedding, you gonna be like, bok bok, bitch.
She's apologized for doing this. She's bottom of the list. But I'd also like to highlight her stage name, Awkwafina, a portmanteau of the bottled water Awkwafina and the word awkward. But also a pretty obvious joke about black naming conventions. Anyone who grew up with or is familiar at all with BET Comic View or any kind of hacky black Chitlin Circuit ethnic comedy will have heard the joke about black kids getting named after products. You start reasonable with car brands like Porsche and Lexus and Mercedes.
I got a friend named Alexis, look like a Buick.
Then you heighten the premise with household items like Aquanetta and Awkwafina.
I'm sorry, it's not Zima, sir. She and Algebra have been ganging up on Purina and Chlamydia all day.
But you always end the joke on a punchline about the twins, Orangelo and Lamangelo, or Orange Jello and Lemon Jello.
Who, me? I'm Lamangelo. My crazy mother loved lemon jello.
You want to name your babies Lemon Jello and Orange Jello? No, man. Their names are Lamangelo and Orangelo.
I cannot tell you how many times I heard this tired-ass routine in the 1990s, and I would be frankly shocked to learn if Awkwafina never heard this bit herself. Also, much like John Cena, she hasn't put out any of her own music in a minute. But she did do this horrible rap song that they added to the Little Mermaid songbook for the 2023 remake. So yeah, she makes the list for obvious reasons. I do believe that there are a lot more deserving people on this list who weren't scrutinized in the same way that she was.
Seeing her gain success for using black scent was extremely problematic, but I also think she got more critique specifically because she was a woman of color. And I think that people are more likely to hold women of color to a higher standard than they are other groups.
Awkwafina is a weird stage name to be stuck with, but we don't really even think about it anymore.
In a cut, deli sign, pink neon. Cutting out a Dutch, I don't even need a reason.
Number 9, Marky Mark. I think the Culture Vulture lane's prime example is Mark Wahlberg, who arrived on the scene as Bostonian hoodlum Marky Mark, the edgy hip-hop alternative to his brother Donnie's boy band New Kids on the Block, who themselves were the white alternative to black boy band New Edition. Before all that, as a teenager, he had committed 2 violent hate crimes. hurling rocks and slurs at a group of black children, and physically and verbally assaulting 2 Vietnamese men.
I grew up in the street, you know what I mean? I know what it's like to be in trouble, you know what I mean?
Marky is not the only Nepo Baby Culture Vulture combo on this list. He used to speak in what is commonly referred to as a Blaccent, an affected, inauthentic mimicry of African American Vernacular English, or AAVE, that will show up all over this list as well.
Pow! What's up? It's the Monk D, Cock D, in gym workout. We're about to get biz with some fat weights and all that. Right, cousin? Right out. Peace, 5 Gs. We out. You can see a man come by the pool with some fly honeys. I'm Irish American, and never would I pretend to be an African. You needing a history lesson because you forgot where you came from.
And another thing we're going to see more of on this list is surrounding yourself with black talent to make yourself look authentic. Marky Mark led a group of black and brown rappers and dancers known as the Funky Bunch. Together they had 1 hit, 2 flop albums, and a workout video.
But remember, you gotta go out there and work hard, stay focused, and get that payoff. Might not be 6 fly ladies in a jacuzzi, but it'll be something. Bird is born, we out, 5 Gs, peace.
Then Marky branched out into acting with the 1993 TV movie The Substitute.
LA Law's Amanda Donahoe and rapper Marky Mark star in The Substitute. And when you buy 2 units of The Substitute, take advantage of savings up to 11%.
Who could possibly need 2 copies of this movie? Is it so good that you have to share it with somebody else? Do you already know you're going to wear out 1 copy rewinding to the hot Marky Mark scenes, so you're gonna need a spare? After that, he was credited under his government name, and the Blaccent slowly dissipates for every subsequent role until 1996's Fear, when it's completely gone. He had an awkward moment with fellow white rapper Eminem in 1999 for MTV's call-in countdown show Total Request Live, or TRL, where he didn't take a joke about the Funky Bunch particularly well.
Where am I supposed to go, over here?
Yeah, just chill right there. We'll just all stand together like a happy, fun bunch.
Yeah.
Happy group.
We all just stand together like a happy, fun bunch. Asshole. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
What's that?
Nothing.
What's that? Funky what?
Nothing.
Funky what?
I'm a fan.
Funky what? Funky what?
You're gonna be great.
Not used to being around so many white people, you know?
Yeah, well, no, you yourself are white.
What?
This lack of a sense of humor about himself would reemerge in 2013 when Andy Samberg made fun of him on SNL.
You're a donkey. I like that. You eat apples, right? I produce Entourage.
Hey, donkey.
Hey, what's up, Mark?
How's it going? You live in a barn, right? I'm in Max Payne.
And similar to that situation, during the credits of the 2001 Mark Wahlberg starring vehicle Rockstar, he brings Marky Mark back as a joke to illustrate that he does have a sense of humor about himself.
No more metal shit. It's all about hip-hop, it's all gravy, it's all bling bling, pinky ring, word about 50, bling bling, all that shit. No more of this. It's about this. Alright, you heard me? Lay your shit by the TV and watch this shit here. This shit the bomb. You heard me?
And unintentionally illustrating that he never took hip-hop seriously. Yet another thing we'll be hearing a lot of in this list. Anyway, now no one associates Marky Mark with black stuff anymore, and that is the name of the game.
Time I kick a little verse. See, some do hip-hop and forget where it started. The claiming a white complexion ain't the reason why their records charted, please. Man, it's so easy to see. When a white dude raps, the public sees it as a novelty. Even me, although I take it seriously, some just like me because of my RACE. But I won't quit and I won't stop, because I do hip-hop records just because I love hip-hop. See you later.
Number 8. John Cena. Okay, let's get the memes out of the way for this next one. You might have a little trouble seeing this next entry, but I assure you, he is there, and his
name is John Cena!
John Cena made his WWE debut as a generic wrestler guy, and his lack of personality almost got him fired until former WWE head of creative Stephanie McMahon overheard him freestyle rapping on a tour bus and asked him to dress up like Vanilla Ice and rap on a Halloween episode of SmackDown. This would eventually lead to John Cena becoming the Doctor of Thugonomics, capitalizing on the popularity of 50 Cent and his crew G-Unit. He now wore jerseys and streetwear, talked in a Blaccent.
I had to grease the bouncer like an Abraham Lincoln or a few pounds here and there.
Thanks for the introduction, bro. You just called me the youngest, the most charismatic superstar in the WWE.
malls across America, you know what I'm saying? Go to find the throwbacks, man. Straight up. Just go cop the newest gear at the mall. We skip the VIP line, we going right in the party like the players do. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, nice to have you here. You're big time stuff. How's it going? Good to have you. Good to have you. Up in the house right there.
What's my favorite throwback? Milwaukee Bucks, baby. Just because they got that little deer spin in the basketball. You know how we do. Right.
At least you got the people behind you.
Cena did freestyle raps to insult the crowd and his opponents. He released an entire rap album. He turned the WWE Championship belt into a spinner, just like the G-Unit spinner chain emblem. He also wore a spinner chain himself with his own Chain Gang logo on it, which was a complete ripoff of the G-Unit logo. The now iconic "You Can't See Me" hand gesture was taken from G-Unit member Tony Yayo. But after Cena won that world championship and starred in WWE's The Marine, the character shifted more into that of an all-American boy who fights for all that is right and never gives up. Cena still comes out to an entrance theme that he rapped himself, but he hasn't released a rap song since 2013, when he did a couple collaborations with Wiz Khalifa for a WWE 2K game. He dropped the Blaccents, he dropped the freestyles, and his gear, which was once meant to stand out as a street uniform, is now more like a grown man dressed like a child so that the children that idolize him can easier see themselves in him. And when he's not in wrestling gear, he will not be found in the pimped out Gucci suit he once famously sported to a Hall of Fame ceremony. It's all David Allen these days. Not him. You know, contrary to popular belief, Cena's breakout comedy role wasn't in Trainwreck, it was in Sisters with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, where he plays a tatted up drug dealer named Pazuzu.
What you want? I got Molly, I got her sister Sandra, I got Big Frank, I got birth control, I got Plan B, I got that morphine from China they took off the market.
He doesn't go full thugonomics here, but I think this is the last time he used that voice. Except for in the Firefly Funhouse match, which happened outside of space and time. Cena still acknowledges the stuff he took from G-Unit, he still talks about hip-hop, and clearly loves and respects the art form.
Late 80s, mid 90s boom bap. So Nas, certainly, Black Moon, Smith & Wesson, Jay-Z. I know he fits in a little bit later era, but like Biggie, just Rakim.
Oh
like
my God!
All of those really like lyrical boom bap, late 80s, 90s as hip hop was finding its voice.
But there have been many hip-hop themed wrestlers over the years. John Cena is easily the biggest one ever, and that's not even his gimmick anymore.
Is that good? All right, cool. Bet.
Number 7, Pink. Pink used to be on BET so much, we all thought she was just really light-skinned for like a week. Seriously, go back and look at any of the comments on the old Pink singles. Her first single, There You Go, was a pop R&B hit in the vein of TLC and Destiny's Child. That synth harpsichord had a chokehold on late 90s, early 2000s R&B music. It was the producer Shakespeare's signature at the time. Now, I don't have evidence for this part because it's lost media at this point, but There You Go spent multiple weeks on BET's Top 10 Call-In Countdown show 106 in Park, their answer to TRL, meaning black teenagers were regularly requesting that song. Her whole first solo album is R&B. She was also in a 90s R&B girl group called Choice, that sounded like SWV or Escape. They were making junior prom slow jams for the Kazam soundtrack back when she was 16 years old.
I need some time to make up my mind. You've got the key to my heart.
She also appeared on the Missy Elliott-produced Moulin Rouge cover of Lady Marmalade alongside Maya, Lil' Kim, and Christina Agulera, who was well on her way to achieving her ex-Tina form, which we will also cover on this list. But on her second album, Misunderstood, she went the pop rock route. She switched up the hair and the wardrobe, she started singing over electric guitars, and she never looked back. She doesn't even perform the old R&B singles anymore. And in fairness, on the single Don't Let Me Get Me, Pink sort of pins her R&B era on mega producer L.A. Reid, insinuating that the sound on the second album was the real her all along. But she's still making the Vultures list. I don't give a fuck. Pink's rebranding is one of the best examples of black culture being used as a stepping stone to bigger and better things that you can abandon as soon as they're no longer useful to you.
I thought I told you not to call. Is that bitch still with you? Alright, I'm gonna hook you up.
Number 6, Christina Agulera. Christina Agulera has never hidden from her Latin heritage. She did a Spanish language album right before the one I'm about to talk about, her 2002 album, Stripped, where Christina became ex-Tina, who had dark hair and a tan. She debuted this new persona in the video for Dirty because when she said she wanted something like Redman's Let's Get Dirty, they just hired Redman and Rockwilder and basically remade the song.
Let's get dirty. Everybody keep it going now. Let's get dirty. Say let's get dirty.
Ex-Tina really makes the list for spreading that trend where formerly pale celebrities rebrand themselves by dyeing their hair dark and getting a whole lot of spray tan. She did this most notably in the video for Can't Hold Us Down featuring Lil' Kim, where she could also be accused of portraying herself as part of an ethnic community she's not a member of. For the record, Christina Agulera is Ecuadorian, she grew up in a Pittsburgh suburb, and she was a stage kid. This is the only video where she dresses like this, or does her hair this way, or has a tan this extreme. But she wasn't the only one in on this little experiment. Like, this was Mandy Moore's complexion in 1998, and here it is in 2005. Girls I went to high school with did this. And those bass tones got darker and darker until you wind up with some of the overexposed culture vultures I'm too bored of to add to this list, like the Kardashians and Ariana Grande, trying to pass off blackface as a makeup aesthetic.
Tables about to turn, I bet my fame wanted cats take my ideas and put their name on it. It's alright though.
Number 5, Kanye West. Kanye West had us going there for a while, but in hindsight, the way that he values whiteness above blackness should have always been evident.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Okay, maybe not always, but we should have caught it a lot sooner than we did. Kanye went from George Bush doesn't care about black people to White Lives Matter. He went from I basically know now we get racially profiled,
Basically know now we get racially profiled, cuffed up and hosed down,
to George Floyd died of a fent OD actually.
They hit him with the fentanyl. If you look, the guy's knee wasn't even on his neck like that.
I know Kanye West lost his mother, I know he's had mental health struggles, but I know people who have been through those things and worse, and they didn't completely turn their back on everything they supposedly believed in. Kirk Franklin made a really good point about Kanye's gospel phase recently.
I saw it firsthand many times with Kanye. The faith community was so excited about him being
to latch on to him.
To latch on that nobody asked the hard questions. Nobody talked about accountability. And you also see that even in the white community. You know, if Donald Trump says that he's a Christian, then all the evangelicals vote for him, even though there are so many things about his life and lifestyle that are problematic to the Christian ideal.
I think a lot of Kanye fans are guilty of this to some degree, myself included. We were so in awe of his creative output that we made a lot of excuses for a lot of questionable behavior. Remember that time he went on Kris Jenner's show and just kind of tried a whole new voice out?
Well, I remember I had this this TV show that I was working on that had like puppets around it, like a modern day Jim Henson type vibe, because I really get into, creative ideas like this.
What the fuck was that, Kanye? Who the fuck was that? This man code switched for an entire hour on daytime TV and never again. Can you vulture your own culture? Clearly you can. FD did a great video about this.
The only thing that's true about Kanye as a person is that he's a contrarian. He's almost pathological in needing to go against whatever the ongoing trend or prevailing thought of the time is. And as public sensibilities became more progressive and other celebrities began to speak out for progressive causes, it's like Kanye found himself somehow going with the grain and decided that he had to make sure that he was special and that he was unique, and started going against the grain. Does that make sense?
Kanye used black issues for attention when it went against the norm, but then too many of his contemporaries shared his views, so he flip-flopped in order to keep getting attention. And he went so far in the other direction that he carelessly incinerated all of his goodwill in the process. Kanye is a victim of his own troll. Don't be like Kanye.
No, due to the fact that I was from the streets, but I never killed anybody, it was just easier for me to pose like a backpacker. But I actually really love street niggas. And I don't really listen to backpack music like that.
Number 4, Drake. Drake has vultured so much of the culture, so many artists, so many genres. I'm not even gonna sit here and pretend that I can list them all or do this any better than Kendrick Lamar did. Drake is Canadian. Drake is from Memphis. Drake is from Atlanta. Drake is from Texas. Drake is from New Orleans. Drake is Caribbean. Drake is Puerto Rican. Drake is African. Drake is
such a incredible melting pot of people. So many different cultural experiences.
If a subgenre, especially a black subgenre, is generating buzz, we are never far from Drake co-opting it to generate himself some revenue. Or at least that's how it was. You know, Drake isn't just a culture vulture, he's also a Nepo baby. We don't talk about that nearly enough. Drake's dad is at best a historical footnote musically. He floated around the music scene in the 1960s and 70s, played drums for Jerry Lee Lewis for a minute, couldn't cut it as a singer, whatever.
Peeping through the window, calling me on the phone, constantly leaving messages, won't leave me alone.
But Drake's uncle is Larry Graham, the bassist for Sly and the Family Stone, and more importantly, the inventor of slap bass. Without Larry Graham, music wouldn't sound the same as it does today. His impact cannot be overstated. Even if you don't know his name, you know the sound that he introduced to the world. Also, once he went solo, he had this white jazz bass with a red tip microphone attached to it to match his red and white fit. He was like the final boss of bass. The way that Kendrick Lamar is Not Like Us broke down how Drake appropriated multiple different black subcultures but doesn't really belong to any of them, has in effect amputated Drake from the culture at large to stop the infection from spreading. The irony being that the culture would be completely unrecognizable today without his family's legacy. Dennis and Larry Graham are half-brothers, and not close, so I'm not sure if Drake and Larry ever even met.
On Wikipedia, it has you related to this hip-hop rap star, Drake. Any truth to that?
Well, we haven't met as of yet, okay. And so I'm looking forward to meeting him one day.
If I was famous and my uncle was one of Prince's idols, I'd at least get a picture with the guy. Drake's dad, Dennis, doesn't seem uncomfortable bragging about Larry Graham being his brother on his website. I mean, it's family, people have their reasons, but that connection is Drake's connection to the greater history of black music. But instead, it's like the guy has no foundation. Even his connections with other Canadian black people ring hollow when you see videos about how he used to talk about them in front of white people.
Instead of addressing people like the group, like saying like, what are you guys doing? Say man's like you. It's really weird. Yeah, so man's like you are going to that, and then just things like the group.
Crew. That's interesting.
It's not. It's really ignorant.
Oh, what's poppin'? Man's never been in marquee when it's shut down, eh? Trust me.
Drake is also half Jewish, and yet Eminem shouts out the Beastie Boys more than he does. And yes, Drake has had weird interactions with minors, and he doesn't stand for anything when black people are in the news. And I don't want to downplay how bad all of that is. But it's just, everything about him is shallow. The bump artists used to get from a Drake collab were mutually beneficial because they made Drake look like he was at the forefront of the culture, and he was so obsessed with keeping that appearance up that he couldn't see what a weakened state all of that really left him in. Until, you know.
There's somebody that I was like, I used to see out and be like, yo, that's that nigga, you know what I'm saying? He's doing his thing, he opened for Jay.
Number 3, Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus, daughter of one-hit wonder Billy Ray Cyrus, goddaughter of country royalty Dolly Parton. Yet another tale of a Disney baby who needed to shed the kid-friendly image. You know what bothers me the most about the Miley Cyrus 2013 bangers era? This is where most white people learned what the word twerk meant. The word comes from the 90s New Orleans bounce music scene, but Whistle While You Twerk by the Yin Yang Twins came out 13 years before Miley Cyrus's We Can't Stop. In the year 2000, back when a song could go to #1 on the hip-hop chart, but only peak at 74 on the Hot 100. And then you got Sexy Back by Justin Timberlake, which came out 7 years before Bangers. Timbaland says twerk on the hook of that song.
Go ahead, be gone with it. Go ahead, be gone with it. Go ahead, be gone with it.
Were none of you listening to what the black person on that song was saying? Anyway, Miley had a couple hip-hop adjacent moments in her Kids Bop era, mainly the Hoedown Throwdown from the Hannah Montana movie and the Jay-Z shout-out in her first real breakout hit, Party in the USA, both of which were released in 2009. According to Miley, she'd never actually listened to Jay-Z. The song was composed by a team of writers. But after Bangers and the Mike Will Made It single 23 dropped, she got a little too comfortable. In 2014, she photoshopped herself onto Nicki Minaj's body from the cover of Minaj's Anaconda. Then in 2015, she hosted the MTV Video Music Awards and did another racism at Nicki Minaj in an interview with the New York Times. Miley was responding to a question about Minaj's frustration with Anaconda and not being up for Video of the Year, and the VMA's lack of representation for black women in general. Miley essentially accused Minaj of using race to complain about not getting nominated. It all culminated in this highlight reel-worthy moment from the night of the award show.
Back to this bitch that had a lot to say about me the other day in the press. Miley, what's good?
Hey, we're all in this industry. We all do interviews, and we all know how they manipulate shit. Nikki, congratulations.
Then, even later, in 2017, in a Billboard interview, she did something a lot of people on this list did. She told on herself without realizing it. That's what pushed me out of the hip-hop scene a little. It was too much Lamborghini, got a Rolex, got a girl on my cock. I am so not that. She praised her producers like Pharrell and Mike Will Made It in the interview. She praised Kendrick Lamar just before this part of the interview. She spoke out against police brutality. But the way she said she was pushed out of hip-hop, as if it was ever something that needed to hold space for her to begin with. She did apologize for this statement, seemingly recognizing that she treated hip-hop as a phase that she could dip in and out of as she pleased. But that didn't stop her from doing it. She put out a country record, then a rock record, then a fairly straightforward pop record with another vaguely hip-hop adjacent EP somewhere in the mix for good measure. Hip-hop was just a tool she used to get her mouse ears off.
I be in the club, standing on the couch, in the wolf gray, like it's my house.
Number 2. Post Malone. I can confidently say that Post Malone has always sucked. White Iverson is a joke. He very clearly never took hip-hop seriously. He was always performing it facetiously. The joke has always been, here's this white dude with a grill and ridiculous hair and tattoos doing riffraff, or better yet, James Franco was Alien from Spring Breakers. But instead of playing up the ridiculousness of it, he just plays it entirely straight, making it all the more hilarious. Or rather, he played it entirely straight. Hip-hop got Post Malone the attention he needed after a couple albums. Much like Miley Cyrus in 2017, Post accidentally gave the game away by saying he listened to Bob Dylan to cry and not hip-hop, and also saying that you should listen to Bob Dylan to cry and not hip-hop. He made an apology video that did not convince many hip-hop purists.
There's a lot of people saying that I don't appreciate hip-hop or that hip-hop has never made me feel anything. Apparently I said that whenever you want to feel something, don't listen to hip-hop. Or who am I to tell you that you should feel a certain way when listening to something? What I was saying was that when I want to sit down and cry, I listen to Bob Dylan and his guitar. Just like everyone else, no matter how hard you are, no matter where you're from. You know, a lot of people saying that I don't appreciate hip-hop or I'm taking advantage of hip-hop. My last hip-hop album was hip-hop. My next hip-hop album is hip-hop. I love hip-hop. I make hip-hop. I want to take this genre, you know, and stretch it so far that people who may not listen to it, listen to it.
And as one could predict from such an incident, Post did not stay true to the culture. His debut record came out in 2016, and by 2019, he was making straightforward pop singles completely removed from the hip-hop genre altogether. He didn't even stay true to the gimmick. As of 2024, he's hard pivoted into country music, and he seems just as cynical about that as he did about hip-hop. He's from Syracuse, New York, for Christ's sake. I guess I kind of like Sunflower. Even then, I'm taking the Sway Lee part over his part, and the Spider-Man of it all is doing a whole lot of heavy lifting here for both of them.
What the heck?
Number 1, Madonna. Number 1 is Madonna, whose 1989 single Like a Prayer had a big nostalgic comeback off the release of Deadpool and Wolverine, and it was hard not to be reminded of Madonna's video for Like a Prayer, where she's the white savior of a wrongfully accused black man played by Leon, who is also a saint she's having impure fantasies about, and who most people assumed was supposed to represent Jesus Christ, but was based on Saint Martin de Porres. Just like Miley, Markey, and the others, the whole music video is Madonna centering herself in black experiences, whether it's in the church, or the criminal justice system, or a field of burning crosses. She used us for shock value, which somewhat backfired because Like a Prayer was also used to sell Pepsi, and the controversy ended that promotional campaign. But the story does not end there. Madonna, much like Drake, also centered herself in multiple different black subcultures. It took a minute for people to realize that voguing was a queer black thing, because Madonna rebranded it as a Hollywood glam thing for her 1990 single Vogue. Fellow Culture Vulture and cultural impresario Malcolm McLaren released Deep in Vogue a year earlier, and it contained multiple name checks to the ballroom scene voguing originates from. Madonna name checks Joe DiMaggio. She also fetishized Naomi Campbell and Big Daddy Kane during her 92 sexploitation era. Eventually, she even tried rapping, and surprise, it was an ironic, cynical, look at the white lady rapping performance.
I do yoga and Pilates, and the room is full of hotties, so I'm checking out the bodies, and you know I'm satisfied. I'm drinking a soy latte, I get a double shot, it goes right through my body, and you know I'm satisfied.
She hasn't only vultured black culture, she had an Asian phase, she had an English accent for a hot minute.
Well, they were incredible. I got to wear lots of gorgeous suits, and lots of brooches and jewels and fantastic hats and incredible shoes.
Madonna's been doing this so long, she's even vultured other people on this list, including ex-Tina, Drake, and Kanye. So here you go, Madonna, number 1 culture vulture queen.
I'm just living out the American dream, and I just realized that nothing is what it seems.
It's all been said many times, many ways. You can love black culture, but not black people.
Everybody wants to be a nigga till the police show up.
The old saying, you know, they want our rhythm, but they don't want our blues.
That's right.
Everybody want to be a nigga, but nobody want to be a nigga.
The Hawk to a Girl said a funny thing, and people love her. The On Fleek Girl said a funny thing, and people love the thing that she said and forgot she even existed. There's a whole viral novelty song that covers a bunch of this stuff now, way catchier than anything I just said.
White people in mostly black spaces, finding a way to center our faces again. Not invited, but I made my way in. We didn't have stuff like this at Oberlin.
And that's game. Like I said, I could easily do another 10 of these. I just wrote a bunch of names down and started going for it. I didn't even realize I was heading for 5 men and 5 women until I started counting how many entries I had, and things just started working out that way. I'm sure I missed one of your favorites. I missed some of my favorites. So feel free to comment who you would consider to be the top culture vulture.
Don't start with me.
You don't start with me. You like it when they talk like rap people.
Pop, pop.
Okay, don't ever shoot a fake gun.
I have other top 10 ideas, maybe not as deep as the main course videos, but still fun, still informative, and most interestingly, I think top 10s are a great way to illustrate a pattern. I'll admit, this is a little celeb gossip heavy for my usual liking, but I did manage to show just how frequently one person's culture can indeed be another person's costume, just in time for Halloween season. And I should be able to break it into at least 10 videos for the social media apps, hoping I can eat off that, we'll see. You'll notice I mentioned Drake in this video and his beef with Kendrick Lamar. I have a longer script in the works about all of that I wouldn't be working on if I didn't have things to say about it that aren't in any of the countless videos that are already out there. So expect something about that before the Super Bowl. I'd once again like to thank the king of Drake vs. Kendrick videos, FD Signifier, for sharing my Mr. Popo video and all of his help in general. He's been an immense help this past year. Go watch his Black Copaganda video. I'd also like to thank Lil Bill for the channel shout out. Watch his new Jack City video. Congrats on 100K. Those guys helped me almost get to 10K. We are perilously close. Once I get there, I'll make something special for it. I got a few ideas. I just need to pick one. We're really close, just a few hundred away. So thanks, everybody. I know we can get there. All right, this is a shout out to the $10 patrons: Dean Accardi, Yudmila Panina, Muchu Media, Sunshine, Ohulahi, and shout out to YouTube members Ranger Monique and Bite Size. If you would like a shout out in the next video, become a $10 patron or member. I love my patrons dearly. They allow me to do this, but I currently crave stability. I have skills, I want to use them, but I don't get a lot of responses throwing resumes into the digital wood chippers that are LinkedIn and Indeed. I need more connections, I need more opportunities, I need them yesterday. So this is a cry for employment. I am immensely thankful for donations, but the goal is to get stable and rely on my work. If you think I deserve money, absolutely donate to my Patreon or directly, but if you are or if you know of somebody who would hire me, please message me on LinkedIn. Things are on somewhat of an upward trend currently. I'm just very anxious for this part of my life to be over with. I think anybody would be. Okay, I think I'm gonna take off now. We'll figure it out.
I want you to bring me the cash. I said I want you to bring me the cash. I want you to bring me the cash. 1 time, 2 times for that ass. I want you to bring me the cash. I said I want you to bring me the cash. I said I want you to bring me the cash.